All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive because we're going straight into the Oscars race.
This is going to be fun.
You guys sent in tons of articles about the BAFTAs,
Oh, yeah.
and the Writers Guild Awards, and the Oscars are right around the corner, March 2nd.
It's coming up fast.
It's time to see who's going to win. Plus, Conan O'Brien is hosting this year.
Oh, wow. So that means...
Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah.
But before we go crazy, let's look at these awards and see if we can figure out who'll be taking home those golden statues.
You know what's interesting to me?
What's that?
The BAFTAs and the WGAs have made things a lot clearer.
Really?
Some categories are pretty much decided, but others could go either way.
Yeah, you know, a while back, everybody was saying Emilia Perez was a sure thing for Best Picture.
Right. Not so much.
Things change so fast in this race. It's wild.
It really shows how much these awards shows can change things.
Absolutely.
So if we want to understand what's happening, we got to know what each award means, right? Like the WGAs, the Writers Guild of America Awards, the people who vote on those are, writers.
Exactly.
A win there means a lot of respect from people in the business.
Right.
And then there's the BAFTAs, the British Academy Film Awards. They often like movies with British actors or stories.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not just about who wins, but why they won.
Exactly.
All right, so let's start with screenplays.
Okay.
Those are usually a good sign of how good a movie is,
Yeah.
What are we seeing for Best Original Screenplay?
Well, the WGAs went all in for Anora.
Okay.
That's Sean Baker's new film.
Right.
But then you go over to Britain, and the BAFTAs chose A Real Pain. The one directed by Jesse Eisenberg, remember?
Yeah.
And then The Substance won at the Critics' Choice Awards, so it's interesting to see them split like that.
So 3 possible winners, huh? But what makes Anora stand out?
Well, Anora and A Real Pain were the only 2 movies even nominated at the WGAs.
Oh, wow.
That means the writers who voted really, really liked them both.
Okay.
It's more than just a good story. It's about the writing itself.
The actual craft of it.
The words, the way the story's built, everything.
So is Anora the favorite now?
Well, it's close,
Yeah.
but I think that strong support from the WGAs gives Anora a bit of an advantage.
Makes sense, yeah.
It shows people in the industry really appreciate it.
Okay, what about Best Adapted Screenplay? Is that one more clear?
Conclave has been winning everything.
Really?
It already got a Golden Globe and a Critics' Choice Award.
Wow.
So it's doing well with the Hollywood Foreign Press and all the critics.
Right.
But then the WGAs went and picked Nickel Boys.
Oh, yeah.
A total surprise.
So does that hurt Conclave's chances?
Yeah.
Should we be worried?
It's worth thinking about, but looking back,
Uh-huh.
the WGAs haven't always been right about this category for the Oscars. I think Conclave is still the one to beat. It's got those other wins, plus all the good reviews.
So it's not just one win, it's the whole picture. Conclave has momentum, but Nickel Boys is still out there.
It's true.
Okay, now for everyone's favorite part, the actors.
Everyone wants to know about this.
Let's get into it.
This year's performances are just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, Best Supporting Actress, Zoe Saldaña is just crushing it.
I know, right? She just won a BAFTA.
Uh-huh.
That's on top of the Golden Globes and Critics' Choice wins. What makes her so strong in this race?
Well, everyone loved her performance in Conclave.
Yeah.
It's powerful and subtle, really connects with people.
Right.
But what really helps her is how well the BAFTAs predict things.
Oh.
Lately, whoever wins the BAFTA for Best Supporting Actress usually wins the Oscar, too.
Like how often?
About 70% of the time.
Wow, that's a good sign for her. So it sounds like she's got this.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen at the Oscars.
Of course.
But she's got a lot going for her.
Okay, next up, Best Supporting Actor.
All right.
Let's be real. It's Kieran Culkin's year, right?
It's looking that way.
His character in A Real Pain, so free-spirited, but also complicated.
Right.
He's been winning awards everywhere.
Golden Globe,
Yeah.
National Board Review Award, Critics' Choice Award, and now a BAFTA.
It's amazing.
Over 50 nominations in total.
50. Seriously. Does anyone else even stand a chance?
Statistically, I guess there's always a chance, but everyone loves his performance.
Right.
He's the clear favorite this year. There's no denying it.
Okay, so we know anything's possible,
It's true.
but it's looking pretty good for Culkin.
I think so.
Now for Best Actor, where things are getting really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It's a real battle.
It's basically down to 2 guys. Timothée Chalamet for playing Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown.
Amazing performance.
And Adrien Brody for The Brutalist, and he just won the BAFTA.
Yeah, so it's going to be Chalamet's getting a lot of attention.
Uh-huh.
Everyone's talking about how he really becomes Dylan.
It's incredible.
But wait, wasn't there some kind of controversy with Brody's performance in The Brutalist?
Oh, right.
Like, what was it again?
They used AI to change his voice.
For the accent.
Yeah, to get a specific accent, and some people say it makes it less authentic.
So do you think that could hurt his chances at the Oscars?
Maybe. Some people might see this BAFTA win as a good sign, like they're looking past the tech stuff.
Right.
And focused on his acting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's definitely something to watch.
Oh, and another interesting thing.
What's that?
If Chalamet wins, he'll be the youngest Best Actor ever.
Wow.
He'd beat Brody's record.
Talk about a changing of the guard, huh?
It adds a whole other level to this race.
Definitely.
Okay, let's finish the acting categories with Best Actress.
That one's been all over the place.
Tell me about it.
At first, Demi Moore was the favorite for The Substance.
Makes sense. She won the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice.
Exactly. But then, Mikey Madison wins the BAFTA for Anora.
Wow, so it's anyone's game now.
Pretty much. And remember Carla Sofia Gascon? Everyone thought she was going to be nominated for Nickel Boys.
Yeah, what happened there?
Some things happen off-screen. Not good stuff. It's sad, but it shows that what happens outside of movies can affect things.
Totally. It makes the Best Actress race even harder to predict.
You said it.
Okay, before we get to Best Director and Best Picture, let's hear from you guys. You're the ones who wanted this deep dive.
We want to know what you think.
What are your predictions? Who do you think is going to win? Go to our social media and tell us.
Yeah, come join the discussion. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors to talk about Best Director and, of course, Best Picture.
The big one.
All right, we're back, and let's get into those behind-the-scenes categories.
Okay.
Starting with Best Director.
Right.
This one's been really tough to figure out this year.
Yeah, there are so many talented people up for it, but I think
Bet.
it's come down to two main contenders.
Who are we thinking?
Sean Baker for Anora
Hmm.
and Brady Corbett for The Brutalist.
Both of them have already won some big awards, too.
Yeah, like Baker won the Directors Guild of America award. That's a pretty big deal, right?
It's huge. The DGA award is voted on by other directors.
Oh, wow.
So it means a lot when your peers give you that recognition.
It shows they respect his work.
Definitely. They see his vision, his talent.
So does that mean Baker's got this?
Well, hold on. Corbett just won the BAFTA for Best Director.
Oh, right.
And the BAFTAs are usually pretty good at predicting the Oscars.
How often do they line up?
In the last 10 years, the BAFTA Best Director winner has also won the Oscars 7 times.
Wow, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, so Corbett's in a good spot.
Statistically, yeah.
Oh, and there's another thing to consider.
What's that?
The BAFTAs often lean towards British films.
Yeah.
The Brutalist isn't British.
Right.
So Corbett winning there is even more impressive, you know?
Yeah, they must have really loved his directing to overcome that, I guess.
Exactly. It shows how much his work stands out on its own.
It's like a puzzle, trying to figure out which awards matter more for each category.
Yeah, and that's what makes this whole thing so interesting, right?
Totally. It's not just about the wins. It's the why.
It's about the context, the trends, the history.
All right, so we've talked screenplays, acting, directing. Now we're at the main event, the award everyone's waiting for.
Best Picture.
All the buildup, all the excitement leads to this.
And this year is a close one. We've got Anora, The Brutalist, and Conclave, all strong contenders.
Right. And just to remind everyone, Conclave won Best Film at the BAFTAs.
Yep, they loved it.
But we already talked about how the BAFTAs lean towards British films, and Conclave is British.
Exactly. So that win is great, but it might not mean as much for the Oscars.
Okay, so maybe it's not the clear favorite then.
We can't forget about The Brutalist either.
Yeah, it won Best Picture Drama at the Golden Globes.
That's a big deal. The Hollywood Foreign Press really liked it.
Right, and the Golden Globes are often seen as a preview for the Oscars.
Plus, if Brady Corbett wins Best Director, it wouldn't be surprising if The Brutalist wins Best Picture, too.
Momentum, right? Like a domino effect.
It happens a lot. Best Director and Best Picture often go together.
And then there's Anora.
The critics love it.
Yeah, everyone's been praising it for its originality, the way it makes you feel.
Sean Baker is just so good at what he does.
He was nominated for the Florida Project a few years ago.
The voters already know he can make great films.
So 3 really strong contenders, each with something special going for them.
It's what makes this so hard to predict. It's anyone's game.
Yeah, it's like choosing between your favorite desserts.
I know, right? You want them all.
So no clear frontrunner for Best Picture. This is going to come down to the wire. But wait, there's one more thing.
Oh, what is it?
One of the movies up for Best Picture, Conclave. It also has Adrien Brody, who could win Best Actor,
Right.
and Brady Corbett, who might win Best Director. Could we see a clean sweep?
Wow, that would be amazing.
Imagine a historic win for Conclave, taking home all the big awards.
It would be incredible.
But, you know, the Oscars are always full of surprises.
Anything can happen.
Speaking of surprises, we've been getting some awesome predictions from our listeners.
They have some good ideas.
What are some of the popular picks you're seeing?
A lot of people agree with us on Zoe Saldaña for Best Supporting Actress.
Makes sense. She was fantastic.
She's definitely a fan favorite.
What about the other categories? Are people on the same page there?
There's some debate about Best Actor.
Hmm.
Some are rooting for Chalamet. Others are all about Brody.
I love that. It's great to see everyone so passionate.
It's what makes the Oscars so fun.
Absolutely. It's a chance to talk about movies, argue about our favorites, and celebrate great filmmaking.
Exactly.
And remember, this is just a snapshot of where things are right now.
Things can change, and they probably will.
Especially with the SAG Awards coming up.
Oh, yeah, those could shake things up.
Those are the Screen Actors Guild Awards, for anyone who doesn't know.
Right, and they're voted on by actors.
So it shows what other actors think of their peers.
It's a big deal for them.
Okay, so we've got the SAG Awards to look forward to.
Yep.
And then the Oscars.
It's going to be an exciting couple of weeks.
Definitely. And we'll be here to talk about it all, break down the latest news, analyze everything with you.
And speculate wildly, of course.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more category we got to talk about.
Okay.
And this one might be the most unpredictable of all. Best Picture. The one we've all been waiting for.
The big one.
All the excitement, the red carpets, months of wondering, who's it going to be?
And like we've been saying, this year is a real mystery.
It's so hard to predict.
Okay, so we've got Conclave with that BAFTA win and all those big stars.
Right.
Then there's The Brutalist, which got the Golden Globes and could win even more if Brady Corbett wins for directing.
Uh-huh.
And we can't forget Anora. Everyone loves it, even without all the awards.
Right. So many good choices. I'm having trouble deciding myself. All right, let's break it down one more time for everyone listening.
Okay.
Conclave has that best film win from the BAFTAs. Impressive.
Right.
But we talked about how that might not mean as much for the Oscars.
The BAFTAs love British movies.
Exactly.
And while the Oscars like international films too, the people who vote are from all over.
It's a much bigger group.
So it's not a sure thing just because of the BAFTAs.
Okay, that makes sense. What about The Brutalist? Golden Globes win, and like you said, maybe even more wins if Corbett gets Best Director.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
The Golden Globes often get people talking about certain movies.
Right.
And if Corbett wins Best Director, that puts The Brutalist front and center for Best Picture.
Because it shows the Academy likes the whole movie, not just the director.
Exactly. They're seeing the full vision.
Then there's Anora.
It hasn't won any of the really big awards yet.
Not like the others.
But the critics love it.
Yeah.
And people who really love movies seem to be drawn to it.
What makes it stand out in this race?
Well, first of all, it's directed by Sean Baker.
Right.
He's well respected in the industry, you know.
He was nominated for the Florida Project before, so he's not a newcomer.
The voters know he can make powerful films.
And Anora has that same energy, right? Like real and emotional.
Yeah, it's got that indie feel, that rawness.
Could that be what wins over the voters?
It might. Some people are looking for something different, something that pushes the boundaries.
So we've got 3 amazing movies, each with its own special something.
It's tough.
Really tough. Do you think any one of them has a clear advantage?
Honestly, it's too close to call. It could really go anyway.
But that's what makes it exciting.
Absolutely. And the great thing is, all 3 of these films deserve to be here.
Yeah, it's not like there's one amazing movie and 2 so-so ones.
Right. This year, we've got 3 potential masterpieces, all competing.
It's a good year for movies.
It really is.
Okay, so BAFTAs, Golden Globes, WGAs, the critics, we've talked about everything, but I gotta ask, what's your gut feeling?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
If you had to bet on it, who do you think wins Best Picture?
This is so hard, but if I had to pick, I'd go with
Anora.
Anora.
That's that.
Well, we've talked about all the reasons, the critics, Sean Baker, the indie feel, but there's one more thing.
Oh, I'm listening.
I think Anora really captures what's happening in the world right now. It's about identity, community, change, those big ideas that are so important today.
And it does it in a way that feels like timeless, too.
It makes you think, you know, it stays with you.
I see what you mean.
And I think that kind of impact, it could really affect the voters.
It's not just about being a good movie, it's about having something to say.
Right.
There you have it, folks. Expert speaker is predicting a Best Picture win for Anora. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Let us know. Head over to our social media, join the conversation.
Tell us your predictions.
And thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Oscars. It's been quite a ride, all the predictions, the surprises, everything.
It's always fun to talk about movies, and especially with all of you listening.
You guys make it so much fun. And remember, no matter who wins on Oscar night, the real winners are the films themselves and all of us who love them.
That's what matters.
And hey, even if your predictions are wrong, there's always next year.
Right. There's always another awards season coming up, more movies to watch, more to talk about.
Exactly. And on that note, here's something to think about. We've talked a lot about who's likely to win based on history, the critics, all those award shows.
Mm-hmm.
But what if the Oscars throw us a curveball this year? What if we get some totally unexpected wins?
Woo! That would be crazy.
It could happen. The Oscars are always full of surprises.
That's true.
So keep those predictions coming and join us for our next deep dive where we'll be talking about, well, that's a secret for now. Until then, happy watching, everyone.
See you next time.